laughter out.
Okay, well, no, we start with laughter. I think that's great.
Do it.
Hi, I'm Jen from JenThereDoneThat, and I'm here with my friend Lana, and we're going to talk about living in Puerto Rico, expectations versus reality. Now, I've been here over 4 years, and I'm kind of considered like the old guard at this point. There's a lot of newbie folks, and have you finished your first year here yet?
I think like this week.
Okay,
literally.
we're at the 1 year mark.
And a year anniversary.
All right, good timing then. So some of the things that I get asked a lot of are questions related to children.
There are
plural.
multiple.
Yeah. You do have multiple children and family, and I don't have children, so that's one of the things that I just can't really answer.
Yeah.
So you moved here with your husband and your three kids. What are some of you had expectations moving in a year ago that now the reality is sinking in of living in Puerto Rico with 3 kids?
Yeah. You know, it's a layered question because I feel like what people are missing a lot of times when they are considering moving somewhere, especially if it's a really big move with so many different elements, like different culture, different language, an island versus being on a mainland kind of.
Yeah, you can't drive to see the grandparents.
Right. So I think that a lot of people will start to think logistical things, but the truth is, for us, it was, what do we want to experience different in our life? So we came in knowing that we want this to be a different experience, right? We wanted a slower pace of life. Yeah. We wanted less choices, honestly. I felt like we wanted something that would focus on quality time together and less of all this planning. So we have 9-year-old twins and a 3-year-old, and it was tricky when we first got here because I came early with a 3-year-old. I had really difficult time finding childcare. That was something that I was not expecting. Like, people here have kids. I'm sure I would find childcare trickier than it seems, depending on where you are. Especially like at a certain age. At 3, he can go to preschool, but before then he couldn't. And so I had this combination of like nannies and babysitters and all that.
And they didn't have pre-3-year-old preschool?
I would have had to drive way further.
Because of the neighborhood.
That deterred like the whole point of having something easy, convenient, where I could pop in and pick him up early if I needed. It was like, I'm not driving 30 minutes each way for that. So those logistical things were difficult. Obviously, like, you figure out what you're doing with the kids for schooling and all that. Once the twins got here, we knew we wanted to homeschool. We were looking at it like a trial. We're still looking at it like a trial. We're like, let's try this out. Neither of us has ever homeschooled. We are not against the school system. Like, we're not like trying to be a revolutionist, but at the same time, we wanted to travel. We wanted to explore.
I know more people that homeschool here in Puerto Rico than anywhere else. I've actually had a difficult time finding people in the public schools. I know a few people that are in the private academies, but it's really, it's not just new people to the island. There's a lot of people here, born and raised Puerto Ricans, that homeschool. It's very, very popular.
That was very appealing for us about Puerto Rico because they do not kind of look down on homeschooling as
it's
a lesson,
very popular,
which they're starting to do in certain states. And there's lots of reasons to choose what you're doing. I feel like we came with the intention, let's explore, let's experiment, let's discover. And it has been like, because with that, we had an open set of, let's see what happens. It wasn't, we need this and this and this. I think that the people that do the worst with this kind of big transition are the ones that have high expectations in very specific ways. And there's just too many opportunities to miss those expectations, right? I think the thing that really surprised us and amazed us truly is the community. I don't know how many times you can say that, I can say that.
Yes.
First of all, we knew Puerto Ricans are very family oriented.
Yes.
And the culture here will be focused and centered on family. Everyone prioritizes family. We wanted that. We wanted out of the kind of rat race where we're just like working, handing kids over to each other, just running.
Family first.
Yes.
It's always family
first. And then you have just, people that have come from all over the world, really, that came and deliberately chose this experience. So they want to get to know each other. They want to spend time together. There's so many ways that we are connecting with, and it's at so many levels. I've met more female best friends and entrepreneur best friends here, close friends, than I have ever in my life. I was not expecting that. I thought it would be more families, I cannot believe the kind of personal friendships I made on my business front, on my personal front, then the kids integrating, and we have family friends, that are friends with the kids, and we're friends with the parents.
Yeah,
my husband,
your kids are out right now.
That that he has a better, closer community of guy friends here, that was a shocker. Dudes do not make friends very easily. And they're not like hanging out all the time together. It's still, it's still guys. But they have this regular poker night here.
Yeah.
They have
Friday night pokers.
And because so many activities are so family oriented, the guys are there hanging out. I was really truly surprised at the different levels of community and connection that we've made, which was so key for us. We're like, okay, we can forego going to farmers markets every weekend or some of the other things that we thought were so important.
So that was one of your expectations. You thought you were going to be out doing farmers markets every
I
weekend.
thought there would be more local produce. That's
a big problem.
That's a big problem, and I think there are people trying to solve it. And honestly, we just need to be willing to drive a little further.
Yeah, there's great farmers market in Loquillo, and they're
San Juan.
They're half hour or an hour drive away. They're not local everywhere, and they're growing the papayas, the mangoes, the pineapples, which are wonderful. Yeah. But you're not getting your fresh leaf lettuce and other things. So it's definitely a problem. I expected
more also street stands and things, and they do have them around the island, like with the fruit and but it's not as like much as you would see in Hawaii or some of the other places.
And a lot of the other Caribbean islands have those fruit stands. You definitely see that in much more.
I don't have as much of that.
Yeah, the agriculture here is not as. It's just not as much as I expected it to be. That was definitely an expectation.
But you do see people getting haircuts on the side of the road. That was the first. We literally driving by on it wasn't a highway, it was like a street, but one of those fast moving streets, and there's literally a guy that set up shop, pulled up a truck, had a little tent, and giving haircuts.
There's entrepreneurs everywhere. There's always going to be some kind of service industry. You've got the car wash on the side of the road.
Right.
The portable car wash.
Why not? Yeah, so I think with kids, we looked at it as let's go have an adventure. And we really went into it thinking we don't know how long we're going to be here, but we're falling in love with it more and more, that it makes it hard to even imagine leaving. So I feel like it's going in with that, like, let's see what happens, and every month, every year, hopefully going forward, we'll just explore. The toughest part for us, obviously, is being away from friends and family, and that was a really tough adjustment for the kids who had basically grown up with my husband's parents and were there every weekend. For us, it was a huge adjustment to not have childcare. We can have childcare during the day. It's the overnight. So I was telling you that today is the first weekend we are leaving the kids with a nanny in a year. When my mom would come or my dad, they would watch the kids. So we had some overnight, but we were used to every month we would do a weekend getaway.
Having grandparents.
Right? And here we're like, who can we leave 3 kids with that they've just met in the last few months? So that was a tricky thing. So I do know people who bring their own nanny, and they'll
or they bring their grandparents and bring the grandparents for a few weeks.
Right. But I think that's an adjustment. We're all kind of on top of each other. There isn't as much space, so we are doing more family things, which is awesome. The couple thing for us has been a little bit of an adjustment figuring that out. But again, I just feel like the focus on quality of connections and enjoyment is so much more here that's what sold us, and that has over-delivered.
Okay. One of the big questions I get is, why did we move to the east side of the island? And I talked about that in another video, why we ended up in the east side of the island. For you, what was your thought process moving to the island, and why did you choose the east side?
So we're coming from California. My husband has surfed his whole life. I used to surf, less so with 3 kids and a business. But we really thought that we would be beach bums. We've always lived close to the beach. We were in Southern California, so we had that kind of a different type of beach, I guess. Beautiful, stunning, beautiful, surf year-round, but colder water.
Yeah, very cool.
So when we were sitting, we just assumed we're going to go to the West Coast, where all the surfing is. That's where they get the swells.
Did you guys even consider Rincon?
We did.
Okay.
And we went, and so we did like a discovery trip with just my husband and I for, I think, like 10 days, and we split the time between the 2 sides of the island, and we were really exploring, like, where do we see ourselves? And we're still torn, honestly. We're still torn. We kind of planted ourselves on the east side, and I'm really glad that we did, and I'll say why in a second, but we do go almost every month and do a weekend on the west
guys are doing a lot of
side of the island. So it's only like 2 to 3 hours away. It's not a huge deal, but it's not in a day trip, so you're going overnight. So in the end, the beaches on the west side of the island, no offense to this side, they are just incomparable. They are stunning beaches. It's more like a beach culture. You really do have those beachy cities that feel like you're hanging out with no shirt, you have like coconut stands. It's got like that kind of island vibe. On the east side of the island, you do have a little bit of that by Luquillo, but south of Luquillo, it's a more city. The beach culture is not like, you just don't see people in flip-flops heading to the beach every weekend.
Yeah, no.
There is no surfing. There is great snorkeling that we've been discovering, and that's been awesome when there's no wind. But the community, again, we keep going back. We landed in this like kind of bubble-like of a city, which I never thought, never, ever. I mean, I grew up in a city. Well, I grew up in Russia, but in a city, then lived in big cities. I never thought I would be like in a village, honestly. And such like a kind of little bubble.
Small town.
Yeah, it's small town. But when we showed up here and the whole driving around in golf carts and the ease of access to everyone and everything, it was just like so
You know
easy.
everybody here. It's such a small town. We know everybody.
We feel so safe sending the kids everywhere.
Yeah.
Like they can go pretty much to any of their friends' houses. They are so much more independent, and that's what we were looking for that we couldn't have in a big city, right? We had to constantly have them on a leash, effectively, like just constantly paying attention, because you just don't have that luxury in the.
In our community, it's very, very safe.
Yes.
But even outside of our community, I feel really safe on the island.
I feel really safe on that. I really want to dispel that myth. As a woman, yes, there is like a little bit of a macho culture and all that here, but not in the kind of way that I feel is unsafe or harmful.
Yeah,
it's
very chivalrous.
It's so chivalrous.
I
saw you say that in one of your earlier videos. So before we moved here, I did watch some of Jen's videos, which is like so awesome, right? And I love that you said that. I feel like people will stop and go everywhere we go.
Yes.
People go above and beyond.
Oh, absolutely.
It is like unequivocal. So many times. I mean, there's like two sayings that I've like been saying over and over to my husband. First of all, I'm like, these people are like family.
Oh,
we go to have lunch somewhere, and the woman's like, this is from my garden. Would you like some fruit? Your kids are so cute. Like, what? We're in a restaurant, and this woman is like welcoming us like we're family.
And if you go to that restaurant 2-3 times, they're going to remember you and welcome you like family.
It's amazing. But the other saying that I have is Puerto Ricans are allergic to money. They do not want to take your money. You're like, please, can I pay extra to have this faster? They're like, no. Can we please just pay you to get this done? No, we just can't do that. There's like a thing with how they do things. They are not responsive to any kind of time sensitivity.
It's definitely island time.
Right? It's island time,
island
and your money is no good to speed it up, like ever. Like with government business things, you know, you would think like, please just let me
I
do
need this today.
Right?
Yeah,
like, no, we can. So anyway, I felt like the other side of the island, because they're bigger kind of cities one after another, it's a lot more exciting to travel to and explore. But if we would have landed there, it would have taken us longer to get a sense of community. And when we were deciding to move last year, there was water rationing on the other side of that.
Yes.
24 hours on, 24 hours. That was another deciding factor. I'm like, I can do it. It would be an adventure. But I also...
You have kids.
We have kids, and I'm running a business. Like, we're not retired yet.
Yeah.
We are not like, we can just, like, no water, no problem. Like, we'll just go to the beach and hang out. Like, I am actually needing to work at least sometimes. And so these kind of uncertainties were just a little too much for us at this time. Though,
that might be easier if we were retired.
Right, and that's what I feel like. Later, when we don't need to work, I feel like we definitely want to have a vacation property on that side of the island and like live there maybe even more full time and then come here. But I think it depends on what your
priorities are. That's actually really common too. I know a ton of people that have their main residence, they have an apartment in San Juan, and then they have a beach house in Guanaca.
Yeah.
Or whatever, and that's not just for new residents to the island. That's very common.
Yes.
My accountant and lawyers and a lot of professionals, but so many of the people that were born and raised on this island, they have their main property, their home that they live in, and then quite a few of them actually have like a family home, a family property that's their vacation property that they can retreat to for the weekend. So they do travel around a lot, especially within the island. There's no reason for them to leave or go someplace else. Their grandparents are here and they have their vacation home. They've really figured out the best way to live life.
That was a surprising thing for me. Just the richness and diversity of nature and how many things there are to do and discover in Puerto Rico.
Oh, yeah, it's
I've
such a different.
spent a lot of time on other Caribbean islands, and Puerto Rico is bigger, but it's not just the size.
Yeah.
It's just got a lot of stuff to do and uncover. And we keep discovering new things, which is so exciting. So one thing that I did think, I'm like, I give it 6 months, I'm gonna start having island fever. That's what I figured, because anytime I've even vacationed anywhere for a couple weeks, like Hawaii, St. Martin, trying to think what other islands I've been to, somewhere else, I start to feel like kind of antsy.
Yeah, after a week, I'm like,
oh,
this is fun.
Yes. I have not felt that here in a year. I cannot believe it.
Yeah.
I cannot believe it. I mean,
There's so many
much
more
to
things.
do.
Yeah.
I mean, and we can island hop and do other things.
But there's so many things to explore just on this island. Even within an hour drive,
and it's
there's
a totally
ton of things
different, like flora, fauna. It's a totally different environment. So you go from beach to the tropical to the kind of like mountain to the deserty to the. You have so much, and that was a surprise.
The rivers, the caves,
yes,
everything.
I don't think we've done even a tenth of the island.
No, not even close. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it's amazing. So that was a surprise because you think it's like so small and the population isn't very big, and you're like, oh, you probably discover all of it.
And all of the activities, you can bring your family because it is so family first. So it's always like, oh yeah, and I can bring my kids. Of course you can bring your kids. How old are your kids? And there's just so many activities for them. Yeah. There are activities that I do as an adult. I'm by myself. I'm going out and I'm doing my thing. And there will be a family with children, and I go, but I figured this was, we're doing rivers, we're doing this and that, and no, there's family with their kids, and it's very common, and it's very accepting.
I have seen a lot of families with a lot of children. With 3 kids, even in California, you kind of get a side eye a little bit.
Yeah.
And we're done having biological kids. We want to adopt more, but like, they're like, why do you need to have 3 kids? It's bad for the environment. I'm like, well, they're twins, and then we just had another,
Yeah.
But here, I feel like we have a smaller family. There's so many families, like 4 kids, 5 kids. I'm like, are they nuts? You see them, and they're out doing the hikes and everything.
Oh, yeah.
Like, with their whole little army of their family. It's amazing. Yeah. It's been an incredible experience, I have to say. It has surpassed all of our expectation and our kids as well. And the losses that we had in the transition period with moving here and then losing connection with the grandparents obviously has made so much easier with technology and with FaceTime and with everything else. Yeah. They have, but what has been key is for us to prepare them and prepare ourselves that there will be adjustments, but to focus on what we do want to explore and discover. And they've been able to not replace what they have, but find new things that fulfill them.
How do you think the kids are adjusting?
The kids are loving it.
Yeah.
I think my daughter had the hardest time because she had such close friends, and they just went back to California, and she did have, even when she came back, she's like, I really miss it. I don't know if I want to be here. But within like 2 days, she's back to her friends. She's doing cooking classes, piano lessons, and everything is within a 5-minute drive, or the piano comes to us actually. It's been, and they're all doing it with their friends because it is such a small community.
Yeah.
I feel like for high school age kids and stuff, I don't know. I feel like it'd be too insular and small and a little small town. But for kids somewhere between 0 to like 12, this is paradise. Because everything is so convenient and they feel safe to explore, safe to discover, and there's enough diversity and variety that we are constantly growing and learning.
And they're going to be growing up bilingual here. I wish my Spanish was better, but these little kids, they're sponges. Yeah. And I see these young kids, and they're picking up Spanish they're speaking English in school and they're speaking English at home, but with all of their friends and then the Spanish classes at school, they're picking up the Spanish. And kids that have only been here like a year, their Spanish is amazing. Wait, can I hire you as an interpreter? I may need some help.
So my son, right now, they're in a basketball game. So they joined a league in Humacao.
Oh,
and
that's awesome.
So they have a
and
game.
That's, a 10-minute drive.
But the game today is in Bayamon or Carolina or something. Like, they do go around, but nobody, even the coach, does not speak English. So my son, and I was a little nervous, he's 9, right? He's doing great. Yeah. I asked him, what do you do? He's like, I say "see" a lot. That's me. So he's doing great. He's loving, he's building relationships with people people that are in other cities around here. It's been amazing.
That's awesome. I didn't know that he was in that league. Okay, that's fantastic. Yeah, what a great opportunity for him.
Right?
And yeah, that's
Oh my
just
God,
going to
the
reinforce
level
his
of sports here. My husband was like, "Oh, now I know." Or Puerto Ricans are such like amazing. At 9 years old, they are playing. My sons had to like get up to speed. They play hard. They are not like no touching. No, they are like. But the kids are all into it. I mean,
the only sport that I don't think we have a very good representation of is American style football.
Yeah,
and I know families that were driving up to San Juan to get their kids into a football program. Other than football,
basketball, soccer, tennis.
Tennis is huge.
Right?
We live in the largest tennis center in the Caribbean, right here.
Right.
So we definitely have tennis.
Right.
And yeah, there's
just
tons of extracurriculars
volleyball.
for the kids.
There's a ton of things. Yeah. And it's been great to see like almost like a different culture of a sport, because they do play by different rules.
Yeah, they do have slightly different rules for basketball here than they do.
Yeah, but it's great because my son gets to adapt and discover that. My daughter's starting gymnastics here, which again is so super impressed with the level that they have, because she did gymnastics back in California and it was a little more kiddie again.
Okay.
And here they took them through different stations. They did everything in one class. The class was an hour and a half, so she really covered. Yes. I was so impressed. Now, I do think like there are some things that obviously maybe are different in quality. Like I said, the agriculture and some other things that we've had to like get creative around. But in terms of like activities for the kids and the level of,
we don't go and sit in front of a PS4 or an Xbox or whatever. You don't have a lot of the kids that are just like, oh, I'm going to play video games all day. They're out swimming. They're at the pool. They're playing basketball outside. I never watch TV here. I watch some YouTube, but if there's
life that you want to go play in life.
Yeah, there's so many more things to do here than sit at home and watch TV.
That's another thing. I think the culture of just
it's very active culture.
Asking or just being like, hey, I'm going over here. Who wants to come?
Yeah.
I would not have done as much of that back. I think I would have been with new people, you know. Here, it's just so normal. I get like texts all the time. Hey, I'm taking the kids to go down to Pescaderia. Do you want to come? And I'm just like, oh, we're about to have dinner, but we'll come after. We just go for an hour, and the kid, like, it's so easy and welcoming. I honestly dreamt of a place like this somewhere in my mind, but did not think it existed.
Yeah, and we found it.
And we found it. We're living in paradise. You know, my work is all about manifesting miracles. I feel like this is a miracle. Like, I cannot believe that we created
our expectation versus like the reality of where we live. It's crazy, and people don't always believe me, or
they watch the news, and the news paints like it's a decrepit island and everyone is miserable and there are no jobs.
The news of crime, and we're still people still ask me if we've recovered from the hurricanes. I'm going, we're rebuilding, and we have new rooftops, and we're recovering from that.
I mean, they do move at their own pace.
They
do. We talked about that. So temper your expectations on time.
And with the earthquakes, I had people contacting me, are you okay? And I'm like, the earthquakes were 60 miles from where I live. So the people that were affected by the earthquake were in a very small central area of the island. The rest of the island was fine. We were sending them supplies. We were making sure that they're getting the help that they need, because we know our government's not going to do it. But private and charitable organizations were able to go in and help them directly, because it wasn't island-wide. But in the news, you hear about all these things island-wide. There's a crime spree, there's earthquakes, there's all these things, and you just go, that's so over-exaggerated. It has nothing to do with the reality.
But no one knows Puerto Rico, so they can't say, oh, this happened in Bayamon. It would mean nothing to him. So they do just say Puerto Rico, like the whole island. Like if there was one thing that happened, it's like, well, it happened all over the island. And so I do get it.
It's a small island, but it's not that small. It's 35 miles north to south. It's 100 miles east to west. So it's a small island, but it's still bigger than a city. I mean, we're
Well, what's the number? It's like 4 million people live here or something
like that. I have to look.
Yeah, so it's sizable. It's
Yeah.
definitely sizable.
And we're pretty spread out. And most of those people are located in San Juan or Ponce, some of the major cities, but there's a lot of country living neighborhoods, small towns that a lot of us live in. So it's the things that you hear on the news about this one terrible thing or whatever, it's in a very small area. And it's not island-wide.
This is what honestly made us decide, because obviously we're not crazy. We don't want to put ourselves in danger and our kids. Like, who would?
It's safe here.
But what we heard over and over, because we came to visit about a year after Maria, everybody said, almost with tears in your eyes, including you, that was like, I cannot believe the way that everybody came together. I felt more appreciation, more support, more like connection, more... Sure, there were challenges, major challenges.
I ugly cried in the shower multiple times. I did. But I had the support from my friends and family.
People came together.
My family on the island.
I feel like I would be more taken care of here in a whatever would happen than anywhere else I've lived. And that's saying a lot. And so for me, I was like, listen, you can have earthquakes in California where we were. You can have, like, things happen, right?
Things happen everywhere.
Things happen everywhere. But here, at least I feel like I've got the amount of times that somebody was like, you don't have a generator, come here. You don't have this, like, we have doctors that are saying, if anything happens, come to our house. We have so many people that are so generous and open-hearted, and again, that community feel. I feel safer.
Well, and it's not even just our community. I have friends that live around the island, and
it's the same.
It's the same. And I could live, yes, we have a very special community, but I could live anywhere on this island and still have that family first, warm attitude, warm, generous approach to life that I think all Puerto Ricans have. And they really do welcome you in.
I love this island. Like, I really have developed this connection. I feel so grateful for the experiences we've had. I want to give back in absolutely any way that I can. And that's what I found.
And there's so many ways to give back.
Right. And so I feel like, no, for the most part, people are only defensive or kind of like standoffish when somebody comes in with that kind of American attitude, like Puerto Rico
or the savior attitude.
The savior.
I'm gonna fix everything.
Yes. And if you do not ride in on your high horse, no one's going to try to knock you down. So, I feel like it's the humility and the connection and the gratitude that creates, people can feel that. So I
think people can genuinely tell when you want to be here and you want to be a productive member of the community or on the island.
Yes.
Absolutely. So thank you very much for talking with us today and giving us your perspective on 1 year in Puerto Rico and how your expectations versus reality have just your experience with that, especially with the kids and your family. So we do appreciate that. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe for more videos from Jen There, Done That. Bye.